Hello everyone and welcome to my Hardly Anything Sevres guide updated for No Step Back. Now this guide comes quite a while after my previous guide. I apologize for the delay. It's just that initially after No Step Back, trucks were actually buffed with more breakthrough. So I devised a strategy using motorized divisions to get achievement. Then immediately after I devised the strategy, Paradox nerfed trucks, so that strategy went down the drain. And tanks also initially in No Step Back kind of useless since they're too expensive. Then Paradox did some rebalancing, so I had to go figure out the design, etc. and get the strategy worked out, which I'm happy to say I have worked out the strategy, so we'll be able to get the achievement. And the achievement doesn't differ too much. This guide still uses the same general tactics, and you'll be able to get achievement in 1941 itself. I've seen people claim it's the hardest achievement. I disagree. You can get the achievement in 1941 and it's not that hard in my opinion. But with No Step Back, the main changes are tank designer, which I've gone through. Basically I've designed a new tank. We should be able to use it to get the achievement rather quick. And then also the supply system. Now the supply system in the Middle East actually is rather good, because you see Iraq has like 4 plus 1 in Kuwait, 5 in Kurdistan supply hubs to supply your armies if you're invading Saudi Arabia. And the Levant has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 supply hubs in the region. Then Egypt was also full of them, so your supply when invading this region, the Middle East, isn't going to be too bad. But your supply when invading Greece and Yugoslavia is going to be quite bad, because there's no supply hub in this state, Thrace, and Greece only has a railway from Athens to Thessaloniki. So you need to supply your invasions in Greece through the sea, and Greece will intercept all of your convoys, etc. The supply is going to be really bad. Plus Greece is mountainous, so pushing there with low supply is going to be really bad. And you also have Yugoslavia, which only has one central railway, and the railway is not it's positioned like in the central. It's only positioned along the river line, etc. So you need to seize all of the on this one railway if you want to get supply. Compare that to like Germany, where if you want supply, you can just easily take another path. There is only one path you take. So in Yugoslavia, you need to fight along and seize the one railway if you want to supply in the region. But nonetheless, these are minor setbacks, and I've been able to overcome them to give you the guide. Yeah. The other part where supply matters is when you're invading Sudan. As I mentioned in my previous guide, I recommend you just go to North Darfur and Khartoum, then you stop the invasion, because there's a supply hub in Khartoum and one in Kenya, but none in Sudan. So the UK with these two supply hubs have incredible range and will get you like supply across half Sudan. So the UK with enough supply to if you want to invade, for example, Ethiopia, but if you push down, you won't have enough supply to reach the supply hub here. And this supply hub here is not connected by a river to the supply hub in Khartoum. So you won't be able to get supply through the region. And not to mention, this is mountainous territory, so seizing it when your troops have low supply is going to be a nightmare. So I recommend you just push up to Khartoum, and then afterwards you can invade South Africa, since there's a good rail network with enough supply hubs, and push up. Take Botswana, Zimbabwe, maybe even to Kenya if you want. Or you can just invade the UK, which I recommend you do first. Focus on that first. Yeah. And the achievement is also further compounded by the fact that the Ottoman Empire path is rather weak, since you don't get a lot of factories. Only this focus gives you factories, and this one it takes like 180 days for one factory, compared to the socialist path here, which gives you a bunch of factories, and they reconfigure the Turkish foreign policy, which is ridiculously strong. You get the Chester concession for oil and infra, Claudius agreement for oil and military factories, and then of course the socialist path for the most amount of factories and infrastructure. Also with the Ottoman path, you can't core all your regions rather effectively. They're still bugged out. So if you want to core the Balkans, for example, you need to own basically Yugoslavia, Bulgaria, Greece, Albania, and Syria for some reason. And Italy will take Albania before you even get access before you even have time to do this focus here that allows you to core it. By the time you get to this focus, Italy you have already annexed Albania, so you can't take Albania. You won't be able to call off the Balkans, which in my opinion is kind of stupid. They should, I think, break up the decision to core the Balkans into separate decisions, so you can core each of them individually and not have to core everything at once. Because all of the Balkan nations have roughly 20 to 25 factories when you invade them, and if you can core all of them before you go to war with the allies, you'll be much stronger. But nonetheless, I still found a strategy that can get you the achievement in 1941. And so without further ado, let's get into it. Okay, so starting off, our national focus. So we're going to do the Montreux Convention, then fully integrate the banks, ratify the 6 arrows, the Sunny Celia, ratify the 6 arrows, Treaty of Sadabat, the Sunny Celia, privatize the agency, lift the ban on other political parties. This would start the event chain for the election, so we need to wait for that. In the meantime, you do the debt council and foreign capital, and then we hold the first multi-party election. Then afterwards, we will continue with Assets of Future, the Hate issue, Peace in the World. Then we move down this path here, all the way down here. Then when we come here, we have to change the focus order a bit from the previous guide, but I'll walk you through it. So yeah, Montreux Convention. Okay, now occupy territory. Change the garrison to the horse one. We don't want to use tanks. It will be a waste of tanks. And for your garrison law, you want to set it to martial law. So in the previous guide, I used secret police, and it doesn't really matter. You can use secret police, military governor, martial law. All of them will be good enough to lower the resistance, but the higher the better. Plus with martial law, the previous guide I didn't use it since it will use more guns, but now we wouldn't be having an issue for guns. Why will we not have an issue for guns? Because we're gonna take our army, take this one division, and you're gonna delete the rest of it. Then you're gonna train this one division. So this is the one division army, one div training trick. And the reason why I didn't use it in the previous guide was because, well, I didn't know it existed. It was only like rediscovered around the same time as I released the guide, so I couldn't make it for the guide in time. And for decisions, you want to untick everything that's not important. That's why you want to tick improve worker conditions, promises of peace, then these anti-raids. And these divisions are kind of useless, you aren't going to be taking them. Yeah. Then you want to start with your intelligence agency. Okay, research. So for research, right, I'm not going to be saying what we're going to be researching every single time, since that's kind of time consuming and you'll lengthen the video and also kind of repetitive. So instead I'll just link a list of what the research is, and then you can just look at that and you can follow along. We're gonna start off with improved light tank chassis, then electromechanical engineering, and basic machine tools. So the reason we start with light tank chassis is so that we can start producing the light tank 2 chassis. Because right now, if we make the basic light tank chassis, we cannot convert it to the light tank 2 version or anything, so making it will be useless essentially. So for military factories, we're going to keep one on infantry, one on interwar fighters, one on support, and the last one is going to be on civilian trade. Nah, just kidding, it's going to be on towered artillery. Then we're going to queue one up for civilian train, because we don't need trains right now. We have more than enough trains for our needs now, but we're eventually going to be producing trains later, since as we conquer more land, you need more trains to supply everything. Then for your dockyards, right, you want to make with one convoy. Okay, then for your training, you aren't going to do anything for now. Okay. Next, you want to take your navy, merge it up, and then send them to Izmir here, and we exercise them in the meantime. Okay, then for civilian factories. Okay, so as I said previously, the supply situation in Greece is kind of bad when you're pushing into it, so we're going to be fixing that. And what we're going to do is we're going to build a railway here and a railway here. So what this is going to do is it's going to be a level 2 railway, and so when we push into Greece, we have 3 supply hubs to supply us. We have the port here, then the Aegean supply hub, and then we have the Istanbul supply hub. And right now the supply hubs are linked. Well, actually it shows that they're linked, but not really linked, because you can see the supply hub here, like the one at Aegean, isn't connected to a main supply hub. So it doesn't give you any supply. In order for it to give you supply, you need to control both sides of this river, but we don't control both sides of the river right now. So building this railway line is going to be helping us. Then we're also going to come here and build a railway line here. The reason for this is because, well, if you build a railway line here, the distance from Istanbul all the way to the one railway line here will be shorter. So upgrading it to level 2 is going to be cheaper. Plus we also have this chunk here, which is already level 2. Whereas if we were to upgrade the railway, like this pathway, it will be longer, and so it will take more IC. Now we aren't going to be upgrading any other railway, anything else for now. Instead we're going to continue with building military factories here in the western regions. The reason we build them here is because they have the Kemalist Loyalist modifier, so they will build faster for us. Then our airplanes, we're going to just delete them. We have no use for them for now. Okay, so we've exercised our navy and we have 5 navy experience. So we're just going to stop exercising, send them back to the base. And we're going to come here, early submarine hull, add 1 torpedo tube. And then we're going to spamming this submarine model. The reason is because this is cheaper. You can see it's 390 compared to 440, so it's slightly cheaper than the other submarine model that we have, and we can spam more of them. We're going to be spamming a lot of cheap submarines so that we can just get temporary naval superiority. Just because we're just going to be invading the UK and stealing their navy anyway. There's no need to actually spend the IC on building our own navy. So we've made a new intel agency, and for now our upgrades are going to be Form Department, then anti-partisan, both of them, suicide pills, and the radio interception group. And the reason why we are building up the railways now is because we are on civilian economy now, which is a malus to military factory construction. Okay, so for your ciphers who run the cipher, you're gonna crack the Greek cipher, and then the Romanian cipher, and then the UK cipher. Or you can crack the French cipher instead, but I recommend the UK cipher since France will mostly fall by the time that you invade the allies. There's another change that came with No Step Back. I found that when you start to before No Step Back, I found that when you went the Ottoman Empire and then you invaded the Balkans, for example, France will hold on a bit longer, but now France seems to be falling in 1939 itself, so we won't be able to invade through Syria, example. So cracking the cipher is kind of useless. Then for your spy, you're gonna pick up a spy with seducer, since seducers have less likely to be caught. Then if I want spy, you will set him to root out resistance and set him to either Tunceli or Hakkari. Since if you set them in this area, they will root out resistance in the entirety of Kurdistan. Whereas if you set them in Diyarbakir or Van, they only root out in 3 of the 4 states. Okay, and then now for this chain of events, you want to basically stick your ground, even if the Soviet Union says or threatens you. So they pick the bottom option every time. On historical, the Soviet Union will 100% back down. So you get war support and political power, which is beneficial. Okay, just stay the course. Yeah, you can see the Soviet Union back down and we get political power and stability. Come here and hire the silent workers. This is to give us more political power to hire everyone else. And the guy will pay for himself off. Okay, now we have 100 army experience, and what we want to do now is you want to pick improve worker conditions. So the reason we pick improved worker conditions is to up our stability. We have rather high stability now, but later on our stability will decrease. It's because of the curds. If you fail the event, so the decision, if you get the negative outcome, rebels defeat your forces, you get -5 stability. Electromechanical engineering is done. Proceed on and you get radio. So we are getting radio instead of mechanical computing, because radio gives us the basic radio for tank, and we want to design our tank as quick as possible. You can see that our army experience isn't a lot right now, but that's because we just disbanded our army. Eventually it will tick up more and we get a lot of army experience just from this one unit. Okay, so we have 150 political power, but you don't want to spend your any advisors for now. Just save it up. For industry path, right, we're going to be going down dispersed industry. I know in the previous guide I went down concentrated, and you can still go down concentrated. It's not gonna doom your run, but I say go down dispersed. Why dispersed? Well, dispersed just allows you to retain your production efficiency, so you'll be making more equipment. In the long term, or in the long term, concentrated will be better, since that increases your factory output, and when production efficiency catches up, it will give you more equipment. Trade for resources. If it ever gets more than a 4 or more, you want to start trading, because that's when the penalties really kick in. For steel, I recommend you trade everything from the Soviet Union, since you have a constant land border with them, so no convoy getting interrupted, and you aren't going to be going to war with them anytime soon. Okay, and we have 15 command power now, but don't do the curd decision yet. We have 20 command power now. What we're going to do is we're going to come here and pick the army reformer. Why the army reformer and not any other person? Well, the army reformer doesn't give off benefit to the army. He's kind of useless since there's any army expedient, but we need a lot of army experience to modify our army, to create all our templates and get doctrines, etc. Plus he gives the most army experience. We're gonna lose him when we switch to Ottoman Empire, but it doesn't matter. In the build up to then, he will have given enough army experience to pay himself off. So in the meantime, with your army experience, you want to improve relations with Portugal to get docking rights from them. Okay, so ratify the 6 arrows is done. What this focus does is it gives us access to a bunch of decisions that are useful. The most important one is republicanism, since this increases non-aligned support and stability. Stability is the more important aspect that we're after. The non-aligned support is also kind of good, because while we're going to be switching to democratic when we finish the elections, after that we're going to be switching back to non-aligned. The other decisions aren't very useful. Okay, so we can get docking rights from Portugal, so just take docking rights. And when that's done, you stop improving relations. We need docking rights from Portugal so that we can invade South Africa through either Somaliland or Kenya. So we have finished improved light tank. Now we're going to be doing interwar artillery. The reason is this gives us a close support gun, which is the best early game tank gun. And now we want to come in here and we want to design our light tank. So you just want to add the heavy machinery gun because it has the least production cost, and you want to save this tank. You want to start production line for this tank, and then you want to decommission this tank. Now what we're going to be doing is we're going to be as we research all the items that we need for our better tank, we're going to design our better tank, and we're going to convert our better tank from this bad outdated light tank. That's why we needed to decommission it. If you don't decommission this tank, you can't convert it. And converting the tank isn't very efficient. We will get more tanks if we produced put more factories on making a new tank, but with these two equipment conversion techs, it becomes efficient, and you can get the same amount of tanks from converting as you would from just producing new tanks. Plus this is the added benefit of saving steel. It will use roughly half as much steel as if you just made an entire new production line of new tanks. And there's also another reason I forgot to mention earlier about why we are building up military factories in Istanbul. The reason for this is because when Istanbul becomes our capital, you'll be the one responsible for giving our supply. And the supply from the capital increases the more built up the capital is. So if you build up more military factories here, you provide more supply. Spam republicanism whenever it appears. Okay, so the Treaty of Sadabad is done. On historical, the three nations Iraq, Iran and Afghanistan will always say yes. And what it's done is it's given us a bunch of political power, plus it pushes our war support to over 25. That and the spike in world tension. So we can go to partial mobilization. We now have our new spy, and we are lucky we have gotten another seducer. So we just hire the other seducer and put them in brutal resistance in Kurdistan. See, the resistance is working quite well. There's already 0 in Diyarbakir. Oh, if you didn't know how the mechanic works, on Kurdistan I believe there's 4 levels of the Kurdish modifier. Kurdish separatist fatigue, Kurdish agitation, and then Kurdish separatism, and I believe the highest one is Kurdish revolution or something. I'm not sure the exact name, but the higher it is, the more resistance target it is, so faster resistance will grow. Plus it also destroy all the equipment here. That's the reason we don't build a railway line from here to here, because you get blown up if you don't do the decisions. And the reason why this has become separatist fatigue is because, yeah, the Kurdish state management event here, this is one that will happen continuously unless you move all 4 states to separatist fatigue. It has either a chance of increasing the intensity of the resistance of the Kurds, so up 1 level, or if it's a max level, up resistance, or it's a chance of the Kurds just being pacified. So that's what happened here, the Kurds were pacified. It's good for us. We've gotten 150 political power now, so our first purchase is going to be the Coastal Defense Fleet Designer, because they give cheaper submarines, so we can spam them out more. So what we're going to do is we're going to come here, and our early submarine house, so the cheapest one, just save as new. And you can see that I apply the designer. So you also can see here that our army experience from exercising this one division has risen a lot, from 0.01 to 0.036. So it's proof the one division training trick still works. Okay, once the Sanya Sailor is done, these are the decisions you get. So you get negative 15 political power, and we spend 50 political power. If you do the math, that comes roughly to 85 political power for one factory. So the first factory you want to do is the Nuri Kirgili factory. Since this one allows us to hire the war industrialist, and you make us build our military factories faster. Then after that you want to build the iron steel factory, as this one adds you steel in Izmit, plus gives you access to the decision to increase the number of steel there. Get more steel, more people buy from us. So you can see we already have a lot of countries buying from us. That will increase our civilian factories that we have, allowing us to build things faster. Now we have 15 command power, and we can do the first of the Kurdish state decisions. So adding on to what I previously said, the way the decisions work is that the lower your resistance in the state, the higher the chance for it to succeed. So it says here is a 55% chance of success in all 3 of them, which is because the resistance is so low. If the resistance was higher, the success rate will go way lower. And one important thing is you don't want to do the decisions one by one. So you don't want to lower this state to separatist fatigue, then this state to separatist fatigue, then move on to the state. 3 states are separatist fatigue, and 1 state that is not a separatist fatigue. This decision will increase the intensity of the resistance, so up 1 level, the modifier up 1 level. And if you don't get it lower down in time, the modifier reaches the last level, this decision will increase the resistance there. And with higher resistance there, the rate of success of the decision grows down dramatically, so that 1 state will be stuck permanently. So I'm going to pick the decision in front because it has the modifier at the 3rd level. The rebels defeated our forces. It's a bad outcome, but to be expected. We can't get a good outcome all the time. You can see here we get some political power, but we also lose stability. It's kind of bad. But anyway, if that happens to you, right, you just want to wait for resistance to go down again, then do a decision again later. This is the event that will start the election event chain, and you get a bunch of events until you can finally do the election. And in these events, you always want to side with the democratic part, the traditionalist, so the bottom option always. For our next pick, it's going to be a tank designer, and after the tank designer, then we pick the army guys to increase our XP gain, so we can continue with the Kurdish decisions. You can see, okay, the resistance here isn't that low yet, but if it's around 10%, it should be safe to do the decision, since the chance of success won't be too bad. So let me just click and see what happens. I kind of jinxed it. Now we have enough army experience. I'll get the Professional Officer Corps Spirit of the Army. The reason for this is because it gives you daily command power gain, and we can see our command power gain is very low because of our low war support. With more command power, we can fill out the advisors a lot faster and also get more command power to deal with the Kurds. I've also seen a lot of people like YouTubers and the like say that this like Spirit of the Army is good because it gives you discounted land doctrine cost, but it only discounts your land doctrine by 5%, which is 5 army XP per doctrine, and the spirit costs 35 army experience. So in order for it to pay itself off, you need to do 7 doctrines, which, and our stability is quite low because we had a bad roll with the Kurdish decisions. I have a bunch of political power, so what we can do now is select nationalism and then promises of peace. They both balance each other out, and you will get political power and we get a stability out of it. So we want to pick the mobile tank and not the infantry tank, because this one gives us more reliability and more speed. So this is the final event for the election event chain. You get the formation of the Democrat Party, and once it's done, we can just continue on and hold the elections. Okay, I got very lucky this run, and I got the Mustafa Kemal Atatürk falls ill. So what we want, so once this happened, right, we have the opportunity to seek treatment for Atatürk. We are going to ignore this since we are going to be switching ideology anyway. What we're going to do now is we're going to retire Atatürk as soon as this focus finishes, and then we're going to do the assess our future focus in order to get the good national spirit with the stability and political power. And spam republicanism. I also did a bunch of the Kurdish decisions, and you can see it didn't go too well in this province, and I lost a bunch of stability. We also have enough military experience, army experience now. Now we're going to design our actual tank. So there's a tank we're going to be using to fight, and that gives us a speed of 10.5, but will be increased around 11 due to our designer, and if we get rid of the army spirit, the national spirit. I recommend keeping reliability around 75% or 75 to 80%. If you go really low, it won't affect combat, but it will affect how much you lose to attrition, and we're going to be fighting in the Middle East, the Balkans, and later India, where the conditions aren't very good, and if you don't have high enough reliability, you will lose a lot of your tanks to attrition. So we're going to save this. I'm going to start producing it. And what we're going to do is we're going to click this button to convert from stockpile. So we're going to retire Atatürk now. And we get Seal al-Bayer. And once we have him, we're going to do this focus here to get a good national spirit. Also keep in mind how long it takes for Atatürk to die. If he's going to die before the focus finishes, I suggest trying to extend his lifespan, or you can just bite the bullet and get a bad national spirit. Doesn't really matter. Okay, and now for military factories, right? We're going to be moving the majority onto your onto your tanks. There's no set ratio to put your factories into the 2 production line. Just add the factories on and make sure that you don't produce more of the new model than the old model, because if you do, then you run out of old model to convert, and your production line will grind to a halt. We also want to push submarines up to the front, since we want them to be made without any penalties. You can notice I've kept a production line on fighters, and that's because we're going to be constantly making fighters to ensure we have at least local air superiority. We don't actually need air superiority, you can just fight without air superiority, and if you want to do that, you can just go for it, like put the factories onto tanks and fight with them. But I'm just using fighters because it's with no step back, especially it's a bit of like a hassle to fight with constant logistic strikes and etc. Plus with air superiority, we are going to be able to paradrop, and that's going to make our life very, very easy. Okay, our next focus. So you can see this focus will make the Camelists hostile, and we don't want that to happen right now, because right now we get from Kemalism a positive buff. So we're gonna do the Hatay issue, then peace in the world, and then we're gonna do his side. And Mustafa Kemal Atatürk has died. Rest easy. We are totally not going to bring back the empire you struggled to kill and ruin your legacy. And Mustafa Kemal Atatürk has died again. The true father of the Turks. He has the ability to die twice. Okay, and now we have a bunch of political power. What we can do now is we can the army regrouping expert. The reason I'm picking this guy is because this guy is not gonna switch out later when we switch ideologies, because we aren't going to get Mustafa Kemal Atatürk as our leader again, so it's going to stay with us. And we're also going to come here and we're going to create a new division. Just one cav. So we're going to do the militant army focus, and it will make the Kemalists hostile to us. So don't build in any territory the Kemalists hold, and finish up construction any that you have queued up. Where we're going to build now is wherever the Kemalists haven't infiltrated. So I believe the Kemalists will start to infiltrate this area and immerse in here, so we can just build in Ankara and Konya. I'm gonna pick this guy here as the expert, and after I've picked this guy, just for army experience, I'm going to be doing the Kurdish decisions. I'm not going to be picking any other person. Okay, I can't pick the guy for whatever reason, so I'll just pick this guy. Okay, we have research trucks, and we're gonna put a factory on trucks, because again, trucks are important now for logistics and also for our tanks. Alright, after the militant army is done, we're going to be able to expand our armaments for the extra mills and just the mill bonus. The other focus is also useful since it makes the traditionalists not hate us, but after we go for civil war, we're going to be purging the Kemalists, which will make all our high infra states are not Kemalists anymore. So we'll be able to build there. We're going to be picking the aircraft designer, the light one for the agility in the fighters. So don't you spend your political power from now on, you want to save up at least 450 political power for when the civil war happens. Okay, I've seen a bunch of people claim that engineers aren't a good company to put on your attack divisions and everything, but that's not true, because, well, they give you an entrenchment bonus, and what this does is basically, what they do is they make your divisions more beefy, so even your attack division, so when you break through and you enter a new tile and you get attacked, engineers will help your division survive the attack. Plus, when you go to engineers 3, they give you a good bonus to forts and urban, and engineer 2 also give you a bonus to your rivers. Don't thwart the Kemalist infiltration attempt or anything like that, it's not worth it. You also ask for military access and docking rights from Iraq, it will help later. We're going to be soon starting the focus for the civil war, so in preparation, just train 14 of this cavalry cav unit, the 1 cav division, put them here, and we train 9 and we put them here. Just force deploy them when we can force deploy. We're going to be doing the focus to the first civil war now, and ahead of time, it's best to just improve relations with Italy and Germany, because we're going to be asking for a lend lease from them. Plus, by doing this improved relations, what we can do is we can come here and discuss investment possibilities with them. So in the previous patch, these were all broken, they did absolutely nothing, but now they actually work. Like, I have tested it, and what does it has opportunity to build, I think 50% chance to give 1 mil, 30% for 2 and 20% for 3. So either way is worthwhile, because it's slightly more expensive than this factories you get here, but it gives you more, it's a chance to get more factories, so it's more worthwhile. We aren't going to be improving relations with the Soviets, since at this point in the game they don't have much stockpile to give to us. Yeah, well, one tip is to zoom out from the map, and when you zoom out you can actually see the state borders, like the lines here. And now the civil war is going to start, and when it starts we have a bunch of things to do. So okay, now the civil war has started, and unfortunately world tension is low. Okay, for now, focus now, right? You can either do permanent regional elections or learning from the Great War. I recommend learning from the Great War because the war, like Civil War, is going to be over in less than 35 days. So you just be wasting time if you do this focus here. Plus we need to rush down here as soon as possible. And let me see. We have 13 days, so I'm just going to wait 13 days and see if world tension rises. We need it to be around 25 for my plan to work. Okay, so unfortunately it doesn't seem like world tension is rising. I think you have to do the Spanish Civil War. It finished earlier for us, so world tension dropped. But if in your game world tension doesn't drop, it should be around 25. If it's around 25, what you can do is you can send a lend-lease to China and just send a lend-lease of everything you have. And then when the Civil War starts, your stockpile won't be diminished. Okay, let's start the Civil War. Okay, now we have started the Civil War. Click on War Bonds for less consumer good factories. Then we click on Improve Worker Conditions as well. Then we want to come here, we want to switch to Total Mobilization. And also Extensive Conscription. Don't do Women in Workforce because it'll be removed as soon as we go to peace, so it's useless. And also set up your planes here. So in the Civil War, right, you don't want to fight them head on because if you fight them head on, you just waste equipment. Plus you will damage the states and the factories you have inside of them. So what you want to do is you just want to walk around them and you want to take the lands. You need to take, I believe, every victory point on the mainland, every Asian victory point, so all the victory points here, barring Edirne and Istanbul, and the Turkey will capitulate. Okay, and what we're also going to do now is we're going to try to scam for equipment. Okay, so we have enough now and we ask for a lend-lease. Okay, this event is what we want. It's basically the event to restore the Ottoman Empire. You want to click the top option, Our Old Glory Always Reclamation. If you click the bottom one, you'll be stuck as a Islamist democracy. And now we can choose a general. It doesn't matter who you pick. I prefer to pick this guy since he has good defense. Or you can even pick this guy here. Yeah, since he's also an infantry officer. And for field marshal, we only have one guy, so let's pick him. He's not too bad either. Now we have beaten the Civil War. You can see I did a bunch of mistakes there. I basically surrounded Izmir and Trabzon, and so the units didn't move out. So I recommend, so when you're doing the Civil War, just move your units out a tile and wait for them to move out. Then when they move out, you move in your units. Another interesting thing is that we haven't purged the Camelists yet, but there's no Camelist modifiers. What the purge the Camelist does is that it basically enables the Camelists to no longer be able to infiltrate any states. And you also can get a bunch of command power from that. So the command power just finish the Kurds. I mean, not finish the Kurds, that sounds wrong. I mean, finish the divisions. We're also now going to design our division, our tank division. Okay, so this is the division we're going to be going for. So 522. Although we can add another. For now, it's going to be a 522, which is a 20 width division. Again, it's not the meta division width because when we're fighting in mountain tiles, I think the meta will be 25, but we can't get to 25. I mean, we can if we do this, but then what that does, it just increases the production cost, which isn't really useful. And a 20 width is good enough to invade everything. Later on, we will add another motorized artillery to make it a 23 width, which will not exactly won't exactly fit in the desert tile, but it will be more powerful than 20 width and still efficient enough. Another important thing you want to do is you want to go here, equipment, the light tank, and disable the Taswan one. This is the old the trash light tank, the light tank with like absolutely nothing inside. You want to disable this, only allow this the better one in. Yeah. So that will make sure that your stats aren't messed up. Okay, and I know some people are going to be complaining about organization, saying that it's too low, 17 is too low, but it doesn't really matter because this division has high enough breakthrough and sort of attack that when it attacks another division, usually infantry division of the enemy, it's going to be able to kill the other division fast enough to not run out of org. Plus we're going to be later going down mobile warfare, and when we go down mobile warfare, the infantry, the organization buffs here ensure that as your division moves behind the enemy lines or moves along the enemy front, it's not going to run out of organization as soon. Now send one of your spies onto Greece to build a network there, because we're going to be invading Greece later and a network is useful. We're also going to be training the tank divisions. We can get 6 out by the time we go to war with Greece. As for these 4 divisions, we're going to be taking 4 and we're going to be changing them to this division here. The PRD to it's the 25th division. And we're going to change this division to be default and change it to a 10th division. And we're going to change the rest of it to the 10th division. One here. One here. Okay, wait. We're gonna take this 2 and we're actually gonna send one here and the other one to Argos, and with this 4 we're gonna hit Athens and Chelsea's. The reason we converted this to 20 width is because that will fit in with that will basically allow us to cram as much width as we can into the naval invasion, because naval invasion has a set width, and so we'll be able to get more stats there. Then we're also going to train them, since right now they're all rookie. I think this is rookie or green. And with our remaining divisions, we're gonna set 2. We're gonna set 4, but 2 here and 2 here to defend against the Greek island, and the remainder is just going to go here. And also put all the planes that you have here, and we're also going to be training more divisions. So I'm going to be training the 10 with 12 divisions should be enough. And don't pick an advisor, because you get the advisor from this focus here. Okay, it was really bad luck. As you can see, I spammed the decisions and I got 3 bad decisions in a row. And with our political power, what we're going to do now is we can come here. We're going to click on nationalism, just so that this doesn't become an issue. And also, where is it? Promises of peace. If your focus doesn't finish in time to not make this an issue, you can just click on jihad. We're going to hire some military advisors. Now eventually when you switch, do the focus of Return of the Sultan and you get the Sultan back, he gives you a trait that allows you to hire these guys for cheaper. I think it's going to be a while until we get there, and we can always use more army experience. Plus we don't exactly lack political power. I recommend to hire the army offense instead of defense, since we're going to be on the offense, and the logistics guy before the planning guy, since the logistics guy is more useful. Now I'm going to add engineer and support artillery to the 20 width and the 10 width division, because this strengthen them a lot. I've also queued a bunch of this 2 width cavalry division, and I'm going to spam them out so that later on we can just convert this to the big infantry template to increase our deficit when we go to war, to get more land lease. Another thing I forgot to do is that you want to queue up one factory and put it on transport planes. When all of the infantry is at level 2 trained, you can stop training them, because training them more will just waste equipment. Plus we only wanted to train them to get rid of the mallows that Green has. Okay, so we filled out our military cabinet and we have enough political power. So what we can do now is that we improve relations with Italy and Germany, so we can do one of these decisions here. So I'll just pick with Germany first, and they should say yes. Also to your 522s, add the maintenance company. We can add armored recon as well, so we just add that. Okay, so this is the last Kurdish decision. Once it's done, you can see that we have all of them at Kurdish agitation. And what this does is this decision will no longer function, so the states will not increase the resistance or increase the modifier. So we can just come here to occupied territories and put this back on civilian oversight. Okay, yeah, we're gonna do fighter 2s. It's ahead of time, but it'll be well worth it because fighter 2s are much better than fighter 1s. And now that we have finished the Kurdish decisions, we don't need to spend our command power anymore. We can save up our command power and you can send an attaché to China. Attachés don't give as much army experience as they did in the past, but they still give some army experience, and they also give you a 10% boost to war support. Wait, this is odd. This is infrastructure, airbase, or anti-air. This is odd. Last time I did it, it was a military factory. This is Effion. Let's hope we get infrastructure, because airbase and anti-air are kinda useless. Oh no, we got anti-air. Okay, that was the most useless investment. And now we discuss with Italy, see what they give us. We have enough political power. Okay, so these divisions are mostly trained. We just still stuck in training due to some lacking equipment. So we just force deploy them and we train them in the field. So for these divisions, give them Rafat Pasha as your general, since he has the most attack. He's our strongest general, I think. He's also our leader at the moment. Then I'm going to do the garrison trick. So get them to garrison a neutral country and field marshal frontline to build planning. Okay, this is good. Italy invests in our light industrial sector, which is our civilian factory. So Antalya. Let's see how much we get. Oh, we got 2. Lucky. So we're going to finish this focus soon, and after that we're going to go to war with Greece immediately. So I'm going to improve relations with Italy, Germany, and Soviet Union. The reason we improve relations with Greece to get equipment from them, Germany and Italy always have, and the Soviet Union should have some at this point. It's already 39. And now we have our Sultan returning. So you can see this event itself gives us 15 stability war support, and it gives us our new Sultan who has another 15% stability. So our stability wars should be over. Okay, and when we have enough political power, we're also going to click this decision, alter the royal laws of succession. The reason for this is, I believe for 1942 or 1943, the Sultan would go on a trip through the eastern state, so Trabzon, Samsun, and he would die in an earthquake with his son. Then after that, if you alter the succession laws, his daughter will take over, and she has even better traits than him. And you need either the Sultan or his daughter to be in power to call the Ottoman Empire lands. If you don't alter the laws of succession, there will be a regent who takes over and he doesn't have good traits and he can't call any more land. So you don't really want that. The decisions chain itself doesn't really make sense because the Ottoman Empire has I believe a most senior male is the one who becomes the Sultan, and after Abdul Majid II, it won't be his son, it will be, I think, Ahmad IV. And after Ahmad IV, it would be Osman IV, Osman IV Faud, I think. And Osman Faud was actually a general in the Ottoman Libyan War, and he also should be alive at this time. I believe he's around 50 or 40, so it'd be really interesting to have as a leader, you know, a general as a leader, but for some reason Paradox didn't put that in. We're going to go to war with Greece soon, and I'll explain the strategy to invade Greece now. So with the new supply update, Nostabek, invading Greece is much harder. Previously what you would do is you will naval invade and also invade through the north, and you could just invade through the north itself, ignoring the naval invasion because there was enough supply. But now there isn't enough supply to just invade through the north, so you need to look at the Greece supply railway network. So there's only a railway from Thessaloniki to Athens here, so as a result there isn't much supply when you're moving from here, from Alexandropolis, yeah, all the way to Thessaloniki. And the same thing is for Greece. The supply hub in Thessaloniki won't give Greece enough supply in Alexandropolis to stack enough troops there. So falling back and letting Greece into your territory, then destroying them isn't an option either, because Greece won't put that many troops here. Instead, most of Greece's troops will be in Crete and guarding all the ports. Most of them will be in Athens and I believe Thessaloniki. The reason why we naval invading Athens is so that because Athens is a key victory point and we need to take Athens for Greece to fall, so we just launch a naval invasion to put constant stress on there. And then we're also taking the ones in Crete, since those are it's not exactly undefended most of the time. I've seen instances where defended, but it's also likely that they will not be defended, or if they were, they'll be lightly defended, allowing us to just take one of the ports and walk over to take the other one. And all the troops landing in the Peloponnese are basically just to seize this island and put more stress on Greece, to stress out the Greek AI and force Greece to divert more troops here. And then of course we're also landing next to Athens to support the attack and cut off the rest of Greece from supply for our air force here, since we need them to provide air superiority and naval bombing so that the Greek navy won't come out and intercept our ships a lot. And the reason why we built up our supply network here, so when we invade through Thrace, we can get enough supply from all the way until this tile, I believe. Past this tile we will get very little supply, but since we have enough supply from our own supply hubs, our tanks should have enough energy to move and quickly seize Thessaloniki. And once we seize Thessaloniki, we should be able to fix our own supply. To also ensure that we get supply through land, because the Greeks will intercept us through sea, we also build a railway as we progress. So build a railway here, because when you build it on this tiles, it's only 6 tiles, so you take a less time to build. And we're also going to build a railway connection here. The reason for this is so that we can link it up to the railway in Jordan. This is if France falls and we can't invade through Syria. Now we have 90 army experience, and what I suggest we do is I highly recommend that you pick flexible organization as your spirit of the division command. That's because the other spirits aren't really very useful, since this one boosts our division speed and it also lowers org loss while moving, so allows our divisions to fight for longer. Political loyalty is quite useful. We just pick that up. The reason we pick this up, even though we have enough stability, is because, well, we can't have enough stability. Plus, by increasing our stability, what we can do is later on, if we ever need political power, you can just come here and click on the Kurdish decision here to spam political power. Also now, right, you want to build your military factories in the basically central Turkey, or basically regions where you can't build dockyards, because later on we're going to be building dockyards. Okay, our war goal against Greece is done, so now we're going to go to war with Greece. We have a bunch of like cheap divisions here. We're going to swap them all the way to the big one. As you can see, they made a huge deficit of guns, and we're going to artificially inflate our deficit of everything else. So immediately with your tanks, just rush Thessaloniki and use your infantry to just follow up. Okay, and as you can see, we get a ton of land lease, and this should be enough to stave off any like lack of equipment that we get in the future. I have no idea why this happened, but it appears Athens is undefended. This has never happened to me previously. I don't know why it happened now, but if this happens in your game, then I guess good for you. The one in Argos. Okay, so with the troops that land in Kalmata, okay, Kalmata should be unguarded, so if your naval invasion isn't intercepted, it should be able to just land there. And with the one in Kalmata and Argos, you want to seize Patras since it's a port, and Greece will ship in troops later on. So just want to seize there, and once it's done, help take Athens or seize Athens if there are troops in Athens. Greek Jesus is fighting us. We're also going to build a railway and put that at top priority. That's it. With Athens down, now it's just a matter of time until we seize the other victory points and destroy Greece. If you ever need fuel, just trade from anyone. For this peace deal, just annex Greece. There's nothing else. Oh wow, that was only 10 days. That's my quickest war against Greece yet. I think the reason for why the war went so well was 100% intelligence and the cipher, since that basically destroyed any sort of entrenchment they would have in your ports and planning bonus that they get. So now we have one spy freed up. With your freed up spy, you're gonna put them on in Jordan to build up intelligence, since we're going to be invading this region later on, the Levant, and intelligence here is useful. Now we can shoot up one more tank. We should be able to fully the tank should be able to have enough equipment when by the time we finish this focus and we get the war goal. We're also going to put our transport planes here. We're going to take 24 divisions here, and we're going to convert them to, we're going to create a new template consisting of one paratrooper, and we're going to convert this 24 to that one paratrooper template, and assign any general. And we're also going to spam out a bunch of the 2-whiff cavalry. Your 24 paratroopers, we're going to send them here. We will be naval invading Yugoslavia from Split. So basically from Split, Dubrovnik, all the way to Rijeka with our tanks. And then with our tanks, we're going to move forward to siege Ljubljana, Zagreb, and move down the railway to take Belgrade, Nis, and Skopje. Then in the meantime, what we do is we also use paratroopers to launch all over, to land in the country and take all the victory points. And we also use our infantry here to push into Skopje. The way we're going to do that is we're going to let Yugoslavia into Greece. It's not going to really matter since again, Greece isn't our core, so we won't lose a lot of factories or items like that, and we have very low compliance now to deal with. The way Yugoslavia has its true position is that they don't see us as a threat, but they see Hungary, Germany, Italy, and Bulgaria as more of a threat than us. So they will have all of their troops along the borders there, and that means our border will be, this part will be lightly defended, and the ports of Sevres will be heavily defended because Zizara is directly next to the port of Split, which you want to take. So if we just declare war straight away and then naval invade, it's going to be harder to invade Yugoslavia, whereas if we let them come into Greece and then we just launch paratroopers and naval invasions, it's going to be much easier. And that's the reason I've also queued up some of the cavalry, the 2-whiff cav. We're going to use them to branch out and take some land in Yugoslavia, since, I mean, there's a fair bit of amount of land to take. So I'll take 3 infantry and move them to the tank army. So along with this tank, once we finish our training, we should have 10 units, which is enough to naval invade. And you want to naval invade from the port of Kalmata. You choose Kalmata because it's furthest from the Yugoslavian border, so the Yugoslavs will have moved quite a bit into Greece before we can launch our invasion. It won't like halter us or anything. Okay, now that this invasion is all planned out, you can plan our supporting invasion with the cavalry. So this is, I guess you can call this an exploit, but what we do is after we have the 10 naval invasion planned out, we just plan naval invasions. It won't assign, but the planning will all be done. So when we launch these invasions, you can simply cancel them and then assign these units to the planned invasions and they will go off. Don't invade Podgorica, since this one is normally guarded by the, or at least one infantry division. So now we also use our paratroopers, and we can plan our paratrooper infiltration. So just send them to take the victory points, the railway, airports. The only victory points Yugoslavia guards after we let them go into Greece is Belgrade sometimes, Novi Sad sometimes. Okay, so after our first Austro-Hungarian claim, our next focus is going to be aligned Bulgaria. They're guaranteed by Romania, but so are we, so it doesn't matter. Wait for Greece to reach roughly this area before you start your naval invasions and paratroopers. So we managed to defeat Yugoslavia. If Yugoslavia you want to annex all of them, you can call most of Yugoslavia except for Slovenia, Croatia, Vojvodina and West Banat. But I recommend you annex them anyways. So you can see we've created our faction. And the reason we created the faction was so that the guarantee by France is removed. And now with the guarantee by France is removed, we can annex Romania, can just kick them out and annex them quite easily. So you can see we only can kick them out in October. So until October we just have to wait and increase our strength. We're also going to come here and okay, once world tension reaches 50, we're going to justify on Hungary because Hungary is just easy pickings. With a new no step back, what I've noticed is that Hungary tends to join their axis when you declare war on them. It might seem like Hungary is out of reach for us, but it's not true. We can easily get Hungary in. We can easily annex Hungary. What we need is that we need to just capitulate them faster than we can call in Germany and Italy. And Hungary has one victory point here, one here and one in Budapest, so only 3 victory points. I mean so on and so, plus one in Slovakia, so 4. So you only need to take 4 tiles from Hungary and they will capitulate. With paratroopers we can take Budapest and Košice easily. And with our tanks we can easily take Pest and the bridge. So we'll be able to annex Hungary before the Germans and everyone get involved, so there's no need to worry. When this focus finishes is that we will send a demand to Bulgaria to either become our puppet or to face the consequences, which is go to war with us. And the outcome for this event is chosen at the game start. On the seed you roll the game, so it's 50-50 and it's already chosen game start. You can't force this or you can't modify the outcome in any way. Okay, and now what we want to do is you want to go to Iraq and you want to improve relations. And with our one spy here, right? Yeah. I want to send them to diplomatic pressure in Iraq. Because we need to get Iraq into our faction. It right now says that they aren't going to join our faction, but eventually they will. They will change their mind. Focus here gives you a call on Bosnia. And you can see Bosnia has 3 infrastructure, which means it's the second highest infra province in our entire empire. Build a military factories here. For this strategy, getting Iraq into our faction is crucial. The reason is because this focus here, expand the Sadabad Pact, is now more broken. Because this focus will just automatically bypass if you do this focus without being in a faction. I believe the reason is this focus sends an invite to the countries to join your faction, but then this focus will be bypassed if they aren't in your faction. They haven't ratified the Sadabad Concordat. But now what happens is that I'm not sure why, if Paradox changed something or if the code just broke by itself. I don't know how that is. But now what happens is that if you're in a faction with yourself and a puppet or another nation, independent nation, the Pan-National Association focus still bypasses. I don't know why, it just does. The only way I found to bypass that is to get Iraq, Iran or Afghanistan into your faction, and then they will be ready to join. Out of them we can get Iraq or Iran to join our faction, since both of them bother us, so they feel threatened by us since we just annexed our neighbors per se, causing world tension. Okay, you can invite Iraq into our faction and do so. So Bulgaria has become our puppet. The good thing about Bulgaria becoming your puppet, I guess, is that you get 120 political power. And with the political power, we're going to come here, hire our military terrorist, and we can get our first doctrine. And Mobile Warfare Doctrine gives you access to this spirit, manual warfare, which seems good, which is gives you the same 5% division speed, but it's inferior to flexible organization because it increases coordination. And coordination is kind of useless. If you want more information on why it's useless, you can check out Cloak 71's video. And our next focus is going to be reclaim the fallen empire. Because again, this focus is bugged. You can't just do expand the Sadabad Pact, you bypass. You need to reclaim the fallen empire, expand the Sadabad Pact, then you can do this focus. And you need to be in a faction with Iraq, Iran or Afghanistan. If not, you will bypass anyway. And the reason why we're so fixated on this focus is that giving Iraq, Iran and Afghanistan our puppets means that we will be able to more easily strike at the United Kingdom, Saudi Arabia, and with Iran and Afghanistan, the British Raj is open to us to invade. We could invade them without having these 3 as puppets, but Having them as puppets just makes everything much easier. Another thing I forgot to mention is that Romania is in a faction. You want to link up the railways. When you invade Romania, it will be an easier time for you. You want to build it like this railway here, so we have supply from our capital. So build it up to a level 2, so our supply is unlimited. So now we can prepare for a war with Romania. Romania has around 32 divisions, so that means we want to also go to service by requirement. Service by requirement. The reason we want that is because we need more manpower. So we need to have around 52 divisions. And right now we have 72 divisions, so we need to get rid of 20. And it's rather easy, we just disband the cavalry. Set up an order like this. So just infantry to hold Bulgaria. Meanwhile the tanks are all going to go to this tile here. Why? Because this tile is a plain style and it's not across the Danube, the river. So you'll easily be able to break. And once you've broken this tile, we can break Constanta. And once we break Constanta, you can easily rush Bucharest. Plus the good thing about Romania is that the AI doesn't garrison any of the victory points. Yes, even Bucharest, so we can just para-drop Romania and beat them. It won't be that hard. The only VP that will be protected is Timisoara, which is because it's right on our border, so Romania will send troops there. So we will do the same trick we did with Yugoslavia. We will declare war, let Romania into our territory, and once they've moved enough of the troops there, we will para-drop all of their victory points. And then we also use our tank to break this tile, seize Dobruja, then the other VPs start improving your infrastructure. We want to just improve the infrastructure for the war in the war in the Middle East, so just improve the railway lines going there. As long as it's in the month of January, it should be fine. Now we have fighter tools and we can start producing fighter tools. And also increase the engine if you can. You can kick Romania from your faction, so kick them from faction. And then there's a truce, so after the truce you will immediately declare war. Seems like Hungary has joined the Axis. I waited too much. Or the world tension spiked too much. Anyway, if in your game Hungary still hasn't joined the Axis, you can justify on them and then you can declare on them and annex them. In my previous chess games, Hungary didn't join the Axis until 1940. So I have no idea why they joined just now. Also not a bad idea to think of building a couple of air bases. We're going to enlarge the Vilayet of Bosnia. Also around this time we want to stop building any new military factories. And you start building dockyards now. Add the military police onto your garrison unit. And Romania is already dead. So we just lost 7,000 men, they lost 85,000. It's been 24 days and we've beaten Romania. Okay. So this peace deal, what you want to do is you want to take all of Romania. So I would advise leaving some of Romania alive so that Hungary's focus tree wouldn't get messed up and they wouldn't join the Axis earlier, but it happened this game and they joined the Axis, so you could annex a part of Romania if you wanted. We don't get calls on it, so you can just leave them alive in this area. Okay, this state has some factories, so I'm going to take it. And when the Soviet Union will ask for Bessarabia in the previous patch, they would send a message to Romania and Romania will give up Bessarabia, which means all of Romania will have been given up to the Soviet Union, and the Soviets will also get southern Bessarabia and Bukovina. But now the Soviet Union get a decision to send the event to anyone who owns a state. So they also send the event to us, and when they ask for the states, we can just give it to the Soviet Union. And there's no risk of us going to war with them. This is a trump card of the strategy you have here to restore the Vilayet of the Danube and Moldova. You can see we've gotten 90 factories now. If Hungary isn't in the Axis yet in your game, you can just go to war with Hungary. We're going to take our tanks, and now we're gonna plan our naval invasion. Now there's a chance in your game for the UK to invade Albania and do Deccanese. If they invade Albania and you've annexed Bulgaria because they went to war with you, you might think that you'll be able to again core the Balkans, but it's not possible because to core the Balkans you need to control Syria. For some reason you need to control Syria, and it's a bug that Paradox hasn't fixed yet. But if the UK takes Deccanese, you can just naval invade Cyprus, and with Cyprus, Deccanese, Aegon, Crete and the Peloponnese, you can core all of them. Don't build anything in southern Bessarabia because you eventually be giving it away to the Soviets. Okay, with our factories, we're going to put some on fighters, one on that. Take away the one from infantry equipment, we don't need that much. And the rest is going to go on tanks. Change all of this to the 10 width template, and we will train more 10 width to hold our ports. So around 25 10 width should be enough. We will just spam them out once they're half train, like train enough and exercise them to full train to be level 2. And then you will spam out a bunch of 20 widths to help hold the lines. We will also steal the troops from Bulgaria, Iraq, Iran, Afghanistan. Salabad Pact event is done, and Iraq rejects the offer to join. Don't be too startled by this. The reason it rejects is because they're in a faction already, and the faction they're in is our faction. These three nations are in our faction, and we can do this focus. After this focus is done, we will go to war immediately with the UK. After we go to war with the UK, then we will go to war with Saudi Arabia, justify on them. Then we justify on Yemen. And if the time permits, we can even go after Siam. So right now they have anywhere from 60 to 117, but I've seen games where their fleet goes 50-40, and if Italy's navy is like blown up, then you won't be able to easily invade the UK. We have to wait for our own navy to get stronger. Tanks are trained completely, there's no need to exercise them, it's a waste of fuel and tanks. Okay, so this focus is about to finish, and now I'll explain what we do next. After this focus is done, we will do this focus here to get the research slot. Also, because this focus will be bypassed if you're not in a faction, and then we'll do modernizing the army and expand the air bases so that you can get rid of some of the armed forces debuff. The Damascus dictate. Now this focus, what it does is it sends an event to France to demand Syria, but the thing is it's a chance based focus. I think 50-50 there, and it's calculated at game start, so it's kind of useless for us. It also kind of makes no sense. In my opinion, the focus should be changed. Vichy France will give us the Syria every time. You see, I've deployed some cavalry. Let's deploy them here. The 2 wave cavalry, and after we naval invade Levant, we're gonna send this cavalry in after the 2 wave, after the tanks. And what they will do is they will simply just take any existing gap in the front line, fill in any empty spots, and also once we break through with our tanks, we will send this cavalry in to seize more land and territory. I've also deployed the 20 wave infantry I was training, and I've assigned them to naval invasion orders for Cyprus. So after we've invaded with our tanks, we will invade Cyprus, see if we can take that. And after Cyprus has fallen, we will try to invade Malta and Gibraltar if possible. I've also deployed some infantry here to just seize Albania if the UK takes it. And meanwhile, I've also sent 5 tanks. I force deploy them, and I'm training them up all the way here to Iraq, and I've planned the naval invasion. Okay, once Iran, Afghanistan and Iraq are my puppets, I'll seize their troops and I'll use their troops to plan a full naval invasion, and then I will naval invade. So for India, what you want to do is you want to seize this port here, and once you seize it, you just want to take this supply hub here and the supply hub here. Now once you've taken these two, you should be able to secure local supply, and also you've cut off the railway to the supply depot here. So the Indian troops in this region of Pakistan won't have any supply, and you can just destroy them easily. Don't call in Iran or Afghanistan into the war, like do not call them in. I've also built a level 1 railway from Kyrgyzstan all the way to this state here, so that if we get cut off by the Suez Canal, we can still get supply through this railway. We also have 85 army experience now, so we can take our second army doctrine. For the army doctrine, we're going mobile warfare. We're going to be going right. We're going to choose Blitzkrieg over mobile warfare. The reason for this is because it gives us more breakthrough plus recovery rate. I also hired the ground support expert guy, so that if you have air superiority, the bonus will be more. Okay, once I get the army experience, I'm going to add the motorized artillery to this and support logistics company. I also in the meantime researched the machine assisted decryption so that I can break the UK cipher. Once you've gotten the UK cipher, I don't suggest breaking it while invading like Egypt or the Levant. I suggest only breaking it when you're invading the mainland UK. Then after the UK is done, you can decipher the British Raj cipher. Then afterwards you can do either the Japanese or the Italian one. Now we have Iran and Iraq as puppets. You can just trade from them. As the war progresses, you will eventually be able to you keep producing more tanks, so you just want to spam as many of them as you can. So now we justify in Saudi Arabia, and I guess we justify for the Hijaz, take back the holy cities. It was kind of funny, we managed to get Caliph without even controlling the whole holy cities. As you can see, we don't have naval supremacy in the Eastern Mediterranean Sea. This is to be expected because the English Navy is still much stronger than ours, but with continued air harassment, and eventually the Italian Navy also come in to help, we should be able to launch our invasion. Until then, we just wait, create an artificial deficit of fighter and CAS, and then you can ask for a lend-lease from Italy. Yeah, another thing I've noticed is that the British Raj is not like putting troops in Balochistan. In my last attempt, like my trial attempt, they actually put troops here, so I naval invaded instead of just paradropping. If you want to, you can actually just paradrop a troop onto this tile and just build up a railway beforehand, then link up the two and just hold this tile for a while. Since it's a supply hub, eventually you should get enough supply from it. They're going to take this 10, assign half here, and assign the other half here, and launch the invasion. This happened, our troops got intercepted, again doesn't matter. Also, to break the port, I would advise using force attack. Once you've taken Jerusalem, you can just move your airplanes here and put air support over here, so that you can take this port. Again, this port is vital. We need this naval invasion to succeed for our entire plan to succeed. Damn it, if not for this, we've taken this tile already. If the Soviets ask for Bessarabia, just give it up. After your war in Saudi Arabia is done, you just justify in Yemen. So after you seize Bessarabia to the Soviets, they will send you volunteers. I'm not sure why, but they just do. So we've managed to get news from the sea and we'll launch our invasion of India. So we finished to expand the airbase focus, and now what we will do is we will permit regional elections. And we're also going to come here and we're going to get rid of this one. We're going to instruct the proper use of modern infrastructure, so we get rid of the speed penalty. Also, when you capture Saudi Arabia, rush for Aden and try to take this port as soon as you can. The reason is because supply from the central port, Riyadh, or even Jeddah, doesn't reach this part here. So if the British Raj or the UK funnel troops inside and they put on this tile, are going to be a hard time breaking it. Another time we will prepare our naval invasion of the UK. Now that they've taken over Saudi Arabia and all of the British Arabia, we can call all of it. And you also get a war goal against Yemen that we'll use later. We also move our navy to Germany to prepare for invasion of the UK. I've also moved 22 of this just 20th infantry to Germany, so when we invade the UK we just send them across to hold the line. Yep, so we are at this point we're going to ask for military access from Italy. The reason for that is so that we can just plan a naval invasion of South Africa. Because once we're done with invading the UK, we will invade South Africa. We permit regional elections. After this focus, the only good focus we have is this one, since it adds a bunch of infrastructure in the eastern states. And after doing permit regional elections, now the traditionalists will be friendly to us. Now they also have did permit regional elections, we can set then once we have enough compliance, 70% compliance and less than 3 to 30% resistance, you can call the state for 200 political power. But it's not particularly worth it. There isn't much resources or factory or even manpower here, and coring it doesn't get you anything. 200 political power can be used for other stuff. So you have enough organization, the tanks, we put on strike force. Lucky us. And we will launch. They have gone. And just take the speed down and we will micro. So for the UK, we will just as a standard invasion, we will land near Hull. So around Hull, take Hull, then cut UK in half, seize the north, then we move to the south and circle London. And also some other victory points so that the UK doesn't capitulate. Then we can farm war score. And after we've taken the UK and just surrender London, we can just free up our tanks and use them for anything else we want. Then after that, we also launch our invasion of India, and then we will launch our invasion of British Malaya, the Dutch East Indies, and maybe Australia. But it all depends. If we already have enough war score, since we're just doing this all for war score, like we have more than Germany, we just end the battle, take London. Because we just need more war score than Germany to get what we want from the peace deal. We don't really want to like walk and take every single piece of land the Allies hold right now. As for the Navy, we can just take the Navy and we can send it to East Africa. Because we no longer need a Navy to assist with the naval invasion. Okay, we are unlucky, Hull is defended, but it's only one unit, we should be able to take it. Stop the orders. We don't want them to attack London or even take London. Okay, so we've taken all the important parts in the south. We're going to take 6 infantry, then assign them to London. No orders like inside London so they don't move anything by accident. They're going to send 4 divisions to guard this, and the rest we'll just send up north. There are tanks as well, those are here. Okay, so I'm gonna join the Axis now, so that I can get like put some airplanes here and get air superiority here, which should help naval supremacy here. And also because, well, before you defeat the UK, go for peace deal, you want to join the Axis because they will let you take lands that the Axis occupies for cheaper. So if they take like crucial land like say Egypt or some parts of UK for example or whatnot, you just be able to take that for cheaper. Yeah, just keep in mind that all the expeditionary forces, everything will be disbanded if this happens, so make sure you take note of that. We're gonna come up here and set all of this to, so basically just toggle off allied supply so that Germany doesn't come here and try to do anything stupid. Apparently a naval invading here, which is kind of weird, but we can handle it. Damn it, this is one of the bad things about being in the Axis. You know why, but before no step back, the Germans will like never send troops into England if you invaded, but now they do. I just hope that by offering all of this supply, the German troops have too little like supply to do anything. Okay, at this point we have 32% war score and the Germans have 27. This is technically enough. We can, I think, just take London now and still have enough to take what we want. But I prefer if we go more, mainly because Italy is also quite close to what we have right now. With all our dockyards, we just make convoys now, stop producing submarines, since we already have achieved our goal. Seems like we won't be able to invade India, although we don't even have war support, so it technically doesn't matter. Looks like Germany is gonna or into London. In that case, let me walk into London. So in your games, right, just don't join the Axis, I guess, until you have enough war score. Okay, so Germany has gone first. Doesn't matter, we have roughly the same war score. Italy is not far behind us. So we have a few things we want in the peace deal. Most important thing is come here UK, come here, take all states, and take London, puppet, then unselect everything else. Then we're gonna come to France, free France, take everything and take Paris, puppet. Yeah, the reason we puppet them in these two states is because we need them for the achievement. And also, more importantly, if we puppet France in Paris, the France that controls Paris will get a decision to annex Vichy France. So we get a puppet France with all the lands that Vichy France holds. And now we can take the lands we want. So first round, what we will take. Actually, I don't think we will take all of these lands here, since our UK puppets should be able to take them for cheap. Saudi Arabia, what else can we take? We take Matru. Okay, we'll take all of that. Wait, let me take Malta and Gibraltar. And give all of them this land. And this as well, I guess. And we'll take the UK, and now we will feed our UK whatever lands we took from them, conquered. Because the UK will get them for cheap. Canada and the peace deal, yes, Canada is. In that case, I also puppet Canada. It's the cheapest land in Canada. Take all states in Canada and take this one and puppet Canada. In fact, I'll do that for the entirety of the Commonwealth. That's how you deny Germany and Italy from taking land, because unless they have a direct coastal connection or a land border, they won't take land, for example. They're more likely to puppet. And what we want to do now is there's only the Commonwealth left. So you just want to go to the Commonwealth and take the states with factories, anything worthwhile, and the remainder which is just like land with nothing, give your puppet, so you won't have to garrison it for nothing. So this is a rather good peace deal for us. So we managed to take, basically secure Egypt, Levant. We took all of India, all of the Dutch East Indies, Australia, and we got all of Canada for us. If you wanted to, we could go after the US right now itself, because the US only has around 100 divisions, but the border is super long, so if you just encircle and destroy most of them, you can take the US as well, for very easy. Although we aren't going to be doing that, we aren't going to be going after US, because we're going to go after Japan now. We're going to come towards England, and we're going to start building in them. That's why I gave England so much territory. Okay, now what we do is we will take all of our tanks. So I believe there's 3 here. You're also going to leave the Axis. The reason we're leaving the Axis is because we're going to have to go to war with them later on. And then we'll take our tanks and we'll also send them to Indochina once our puppet France annexes Indochina. We'll take our navy and send it to Sumatra. Okay, supporting the east is done. We're just not going to do any focus for now. We're just going to save our political power so we can annex the UK as fast as possible. Our entire air force we're going to take, and we will bring it to the South China Sea region. As for our 13 tanks, we will take them and then we will launch an invasion of Taiwan. Then we use Taiwan as a staging base to launch an invasion of South Korea. Or Korea. Then we move from Korea, we take Manchukuo, Menkukuo, and as much as the Japanese China as possible. Once you've taken Manchukuo and Menkukuo, it'll be very easy to roll over Japan and China. I would advise against trying to launch an invasion and trying to invade like Korea and Manchukuo through China, since I find that supply is very funky in the region. We're also going to start to spam out more just troops. For the remaining 3 tanks, we will also send them here, since they'll be useful. I'm also going to move 1 army to assist an invasion. We know that with our other divisions, we can just start preparing to hold the line against Italy and the Axis. You can also ask for your troops from your puppets and use them to hold the line. Okay, if we just return to an integrated puppet, the extra factories just put on whatever you're lacking. I'm just gonna send 300 convoys. Don't send everything because you need some for naval invasions and etc. And send anything that you have, that you produce, that you have in excess. You don't really have much else, so we just send this, and then we'll be building stuff in there, so hopefully it will reduce the autonomy. And once they do, we can use the navy to easily invade Japan. I'll move all the airplanes I can to the South China Sea. Korea will be lightly defended, and the home islands as well at this point, since Japan will pour everything into trying to defeat China on the mainland. As a result, you'll be able to quickly move up Korea and take all of the supply depots and etc. But the railways will take some time to convert, so it's very likely you run out of supply. So as we invade Korea, we're going to take like the port of Busan first, then we're going to rush up and try to take Dalian and this port here to give some supply. We'll join the war and see if we can launch our invasion. I'm going to set one on Japan and the other one in Italy to help us invade them later. Any moment now we should be able to finally annex the UK. Okay, in preparation for that, we're building in France now. Now we will annex the UK. And we will lose instantly a bunch of our factories. And now we send everything to France since we're going to annex them next. And we have the entire British Navy, 300 high quality ships that we will use for ourselves. Plan our invasion of Japan. We might have the biggest navy on the world right now. Yeah, we do have the biggest navy in the world right now. Although a substantial chunk of it is complete garbage. Okay, we can set this guy as an armor specialist, so we'll do that to get more armor attack and defense. And I believe armor defense will give you breakthrough. Okay, when you get the armor XP, you will add logistics company to our tanks. I completely forgot about that. Busan should be guarded, but only slightly guarded. So this 6 tanks should be enough. Okay, never mind what I said, Busan wasn't guarded at all. And my favorite part of the game, Japanese Jesus trying to beat us. Don't be like me, I was an idiot. I just deleted the naval invasion orders. We have shipped the infantry over to assist us in just holding the line because Manchuria is rather big and our tanks won't be enough to hold it. I've also assigned them to naval invade because more the merrier. As for the tanks you're training here, we won't be shipping them to the Far East to help. If anything, we're going to be force deploying them and using them to take Rome, because I don't think we'll be able to ship our troops back in time. I mean, technically if you wanted to speedrun the achievement, you can just launch a naval invasion of Tokyo right now. We could probably take it and just justify and get an invasion of Rome as well. I just realized an error. I should have probably gone for landing crafts earlier instead of going for one of these excavation techs. Yeah, when you have enough political power, just switch over to Rafet Pasha. Just realized this is not our admiral, it's the US admiral. Wait, so the American admiral is commanding our ships in a battle against Japan. What? Takes Seoul and they should deprive them of supply here. And we need supply as well. Is Japan still convoy raiding us? Japan is retreating. Good for us. Seems that we have damaged Japan's navy a lot, so their convoy rating should decrease for now. Yes, the Americans are again using our navy to fight. Japan has stacked this area full of troops. Pushing here is gonna be a nightmare. Might need to naval invade this area. Again, this is a major problem. The railways take too damn long to convert, so you're stuck without supply. And there are no airports here, so you can't get air supply either. Put some troops on the port to defend. The infantry, I think I'm just going to pull back a bit, since we don't have enough supply. When you get enough supply, you will send them. You have no choice, you just have to wait for supply. There's 9 tanks, I'll just deploy. Toulon. Naval invasion of Rome. Okay, so I've gathered all our tanks here. The reason is because we're going to make a dash. Seize this part here and get these 2 ports for supply. Japan doesn't usually garrison them, but I don't know why they have now. We'll use this fleet to invade Italy. Should be more than enough supremacy. The Damascus dictate is done. We can do redefining our strategies for cost reduction and doctrine. Okay, once we've gotten Magden and Liaoting, it should be very easy to just overrun Manchukuo. You can just speed along the railways, take the victory points. Manchukuo won't cap if you take all the victory points. They're another one of those annoying countries like Saudi Arabia and Indonesia. So you need to take all the victory points and a fair bit of the land. So just send your units wherever you want. Manchukuo the same. You need to take more than just your one victory point. But they're quite small, so it kinda doesn't matter. And once that's done, you can just speed down the coast and destroy the Japanese. Another thing I forgot, I probably should have done this before taking these two air doctrine, is to come here and get aircrew survey. The 15% reduction is actually beneficial. So Manchukuo has capitulated, and now what happens is that basically Japan has a bunch of troops in Manchukuo. They are cut off from supply, so they'll be easy to destroy. We'll just direct our troops to destroy them. Then you try to capitulate Manchukuo, then just mow down the Japanese troops in China. Then you launch an invasion of Japan proper. We're gonna justify a war goal in Italy. We retake our core state for a cheaper, shorter war goal. And we're gonna declare war on Italy before we finish a war with Japan, mainly to get the achievement before 1942, in 1941. If you wanted to, you can delay this and declare war on Italy later, it won't affect anything. We have landed in Japan. I'm just gonna do the standard, send some of the tanks to the southern island to take it. And then I'll send the majority of the tanks to the north to take Tokyo, since we need that for the achievement. I made a mistake here, so if you don't know, with the new Nostar Pack supply update, France doesn't have a lot of supply in the Alps, so I should have built a supply hub here to give me more supply here. I'm gonna declare war on Italy now, and then we'll launch our pre-planned naval invasion. I also plan another one to Sicily, so that they can take the victory point in Sicily and cap Italy more easily. If not, getting across the strait might be hard. And once we've landed in Rome and our tanks also take Tokyo, we should have an achievement in the bag. We have fulfilled the dream of Mehmed II and taken Rome, which was undefended. Any moment now we will take Tokyo. We have taken Tokyo, Rome, we own and control Paris, and London. With that we have all the 4 cities, and we are the Ottoman Empire. So we have achieved the achievement, hardly anything Sevres. Again, not as hard as everyone claims it to be in my opinion, but still a relatively hard achievement nonetheless. If you wanted to, you could continue this game. It's quite easy. Japan is basically dead. After that, just annex Japan, send your troops over to Europe. Italy is also very easy to take down. Your tanks can rush the victory points and take them down. And after that, you only have Germany and Hungary to worry about. Hungary is quite easy. They are mostly plain tiles, you can just break them very easily. And for Germany, I recommend assaulting Germany from the west, the Low Countries, since those are all plain tiles and it'll be easier to assault them from the west, whereas the south is all mountains, the Alps, and the east we have to contend with the Soviets as well. But once that's done, you can do whatever you want. Although I'm not going to be finishing this game because it's going to be very tedious to defeat Germany, so I'll just end this game here. With that, this has been my guide for hardly anything Sevres. I hope to see you again for my next videos.